Hello everyone, happy Halloween. This is Professor Geek. Wanted to do an actual video, but I'm about to take my daughter trick-or-treating. Sound Engraver and I are going there, so didn't have a lot of time. But wanted to say happy Halloween. Wanted to show off my sweet Wolfman t-shirt. Awesome. And wanted to give you a movie recommendation because I promised that in my last live stream. You know, if you've been following my channel, we have looked at the monster archetypes, specifically Dracula, Frankenstein, and Wolfman. They're iconic, and we've been looking deep dives into their incarnations in literature and film and whatnot. So I've been talking about a lot of different movies in the process of doing that. But I wanted to talk about one specific film, just to recommend one that you maybe hadn't heard of, or maybe just overlooked because you heard some stories, some silly stories that really aren't relevant. But Fright Night 2, 1989, I think, maybe 88. It's a sequel, of course, to the great Tom Holland's Fright Night with Chris Sarandon. And it gets overlooked a lot because Tom Holland wasn't involved in this. The writer, creator, director of Fright Night wasn't involved in this sequel. So a lot of people just think that it's, executives trying to be greedy, just make a sequel, cash grab or whatever. And maybe that was their motive, but that's not what the film turned out to be. The film is actually really quite good. It's directed by Tommy Lee Wallace, who was, of course, the director for Halloween 3, but also It, one of my favorite horror films, the TV miniseries It with Tim Curry and whatnot. It does return Ragsdale and Roddy McDowall. They're the two lead characters, so Charlie's in college at this point. It's a few years later. The two of them still know each other. They're dealing with the aftermath from what happened in Fright Night 1. You do have to watch Fright Night 1, so if you haven't seen that, maybe make it a double bill tonight. That's a wonderful love letter to classic vampire movies like Universal and Hammer Horror, and it was well needed in the 80s when vampires were just getting silly. So I've did a whole video on that. You can search for it. But if you haven't seen Fright Night 1, you do have to watch that. But Fright Night 2, this is great. It's kind of hard to find. This is a pirated copy because they don't sell it. They're not reissuing it on DVD, or I think they sold it on DVD once, but never reissued it. It's not on Blu-ray. Again, it's so tragic because it's a great movie. The premise is Jerry Dandridge, the vampire, from Fright Night, his sister comes back to avenge his death. So cool premise, but this is such a love letter to the novel Dracula. That's why I'm recommending it. It is such a love letter to people who actually read the novel Dracula, not people who just say they read part of it once, read it 20 years ago. They've seen enough Dracula movies, they figure they'll just say they've read it. No, that's not. This has got references that are deep dive references to people who actually like the novel itself. For instance, they have got roses, for example, as a tool against vampires. And I remember there's places all over the internet going, what? That was a dumb mistake they made. No, did you read the novel? Fresh roses can keep a vampire in their coffin, it's got all these great references, and it's just an homage to the novel Dracula. Not like trying to be the plot of it or anything, but you have a Renfield-like character. You have a vampire character who's very much a werewolf-like character. Again, referencing the book. So it's a great movie. It's an overlooked movie. You can find it somewhere online, I'm sure. I recommend watching that tonight if you don't have anything to watch, or after tonight. Just because Halloween's over doesn't mean the spooky season has to end in terms of your viewing pleasure or reading pleasure. I might still continue a bit of it on my channel as well. So anyway, happy Halloween to you guys. Hopefully you can hear this okay. I'm just recording it on my handheld phone here. But we're going to go have some fun, get some candy and pizza, and watch some great movies ourselves. So hopefully you'll do the same. Happy Halloween.